What's happening, guys? Sam Adams here, and I never thought that I would make another Call of Duty gameplay commentary, yet here we are, because I thought this was the best way to kind of talk about the Infinite Warfare beta that began on the PlayStation 4 last weekend. Now, it is going to be continuing this upcoming weekend, and it's open to all PlayStation 4 users, and I believe the same kind of thing is going on with Xbox One, though I don't believe it's open to everyone quite yet. Those that have pre-ordered the game do get access to the beta on the Xbox One, and then supposedly the same kind of thing with the PlayStation 4 this week is going to be happening with the Xbox One in a couple of weeks where everyone can play. But after putting about 6 or 7 hours into the beta, I've kind of gathered my thoughts on it. I have some issues with it. I have some compliments for it, but I kind of wanted to sit down and talk about the Infinite Warfare beta and how I think this game is going to be received when it comes out next month. So let's go ahead and talk about my first issue with the game, which is the level design. Now, in previous Call of Duty games, talking about like Call of Duty 4, maybe Modern Warfare 2, etc., you have this 3-route map design, which is pretty much where you have a left route, a middle route, and a right route, and it pretty much allows you to set up how you want to approach the match overall. If you want to kind of camp out on the right, if you want to start out running down the right, looking down the middle, and then going to the left, you can do a lot of different things with this kind of map layout, and Infinite Warfare does have this in its very basic, bare bones manner. It is not what we would expect from a Call of Duty game, and I partially blamed this kind of lackluster map design on the movement system itself, because you can jump over obstacles that pretty much nullifies that left, right, middle kind of mindset. That being said, though, after Black Ops 3 came out last year, they actually proved over there at Treyarch that you can have this 3-route map design, you can have this intuitive movement system, and it can mesh well together. But with Infinite Warfare, it's all there. All of the pieces of the puzzle are there, but for some reason, it just doesn't work out. So in my opinion, whenever you get into the beta, the best map is definitely a little map called Precinct, which has a giant cat on it whenever it's on the loading screen. You can definitely check that out whenever you're playing the beta on the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One, if you do choose to actually participate in that. But I thought that was a pretty well-designed map, because it does maintain that classic Call of Duty experience that makes the game so fast and so intuitive and so flowing, I suppose. But overall, with Infinite Warfare so far, I consider it feeling a good bit clunkier than the past experiences that I've had with Call of Duty. So the next major issue that I have with this title are the weapons, because they are overall very generic, and they are also pretty overpowered whenever it comes to the submachine gun class. So you might be asking, how are these weapons generic? There are energy weapons, there are different kinds of classic weapons that represent past Call of Duty weapons themselves that have been brought forward into Infinite Warfare, and I will say that the NV4 is very clearly the M4. The R3K is the M16. The Reaver feels like a trench gun. These are all new versions of classic weapons. Now, I can understand why you would do that, to, you know, kind of invite former Call of Duty players back and say, hey, here's that weapon you liked back in Black Ops 2, and now here it is in this. Here's that weapon you liked in Call of Duty 4, now here it is in Infinite Warfare in space, where there's a little bit less gravity. I can see why they would do that, but it just kind of falls short, and instead of showing kind of nostalgia, it more so represents a lack of creativity. Now, as we've seen with a couple of Call of Duty games in the past, there are different variants of weapons that you can unlock, but for me, maybe this is just my own personal opinion, as the majority of this video actually is, but this just kind of takes away from what Call of Duty is, which is that fast-paced, just pick your gun, pick your class, and run and gun and shoot them up. That is my Call of Duty experience, and to have all these different versions of weapons and variants and unlockables and microtransactions added to the game that kind of incorporate all of this stuff together, it takes away from what Call of Duty is as a whole, and to be honest, I'm not a fan of it. So the third issue that I have with the beta is the fact that the connection was absolutely terrible the majority of the time that I was playing. Now, this should not be the case. I have business class Spectrum internet. I should be able to play and stream the game at the same time without having any significant issues, and that simply wasn't the case. I would literally shoot my gun, and 3 or 4 seconds later, those shots would actually register within the game, and to be honest, I'm actually impressed that I performed as well as I did during my time in the beta. Now, hopefully this is just kind of a beta woe, so to say, whenever they're trying new things with servers, trying to figure out what the best setup for the game actually is, because if this is the same kind of thing whenever Infinite Warfare does come out next month and the connection is still this bad, every player that is playing Infinite Warfare is going to have a major problem with it, and they're going to have to push out a patch very quickly, because I kid you not, people will stop playing this game because the connection is that bad. So with all of these issues laid out on the table and kind of looking at everything as a whole, I surprisingly still had fun with the Infinite Warfare beta, and that's something that really kind of shocked me, because I went into the experience expecting to be disappointed. I expected to have my presumptions that this was going to be a terrible game kind of fulfilled with my experience with the game, and by no means is Call of Duty Infinite Warfare going to bring me back into playing Call of Duty on a regular basis. That is simply not going to happen, though it did show me that there is still a little bit of hope for the franchise, or at least there's still a little bit of hope for stagnation where it doesn't really get that much worse. Of course, a lot of people are probably saying right now, can it actually get worse? But anyway, Infinite Warfare does have that fast-paced action gameplay that made Call of Duty into the arcade shooter Goliath that it still is today, whether we appreciate that or not. It still has the same feeling as Advanced Warfare. Now, that being said, a lot of people are going to see that as a bad aspect, and in another kind of light, it's better to say that this is pretty much a Chinese knockoff version of Black Ops 3. That's what a lot of people have been saying. That's what someone said on Reddit, and I completely and totally agree with that. If you played Black Ops 3 for at least 2 or 3 hours, you will jump into Infinite Warfare and immediately feel that same kind of gameplay feeling that you got from Black Ops 3, but something is just missing with it, and you can't really put your finger on it, but it still takes away a lot of the enjoyment from the experience that you would have had with Black Ops 3 while you play Infinite Warfare. So as far as my sales predictions for Infinite Warfare go, I'm going to say that the special editions of this game are going to sell like hotcakes because they do include Modern Warfare Remastered. People are going to be willing to pay $80 to experience that nostalgia of their childhood, of their middle school, of their high school that they experienced just a couple of years ago. They're definitely going to be willing to do that, though it's going to be interesting to see how the standard version of Infinite Warfare does sell in comparison to those special editions, because if people aren't getting this remaster, they probably aren't going to be wanting to get Infinite Warfare itself. Now, as a standalone release, this would certainly be at least a stagnant release, if not a hit and a miss for Infinity Ward, which is certainly not good for Call of Duty, since its reputation is going downhill year after year, and it's certainly, most definitely, absolutely not a good thing for Infinity Ward, because after Call of Duty Ghost, which was the last major project they worked on, they should have really released a game that's better than what I'm getting from the Infinite Warfare beta. Now, is it going to be great as far as the single-player campaign goes? Perhaps. Is it going to be incredible as far as the zombies experience goes? I highly doubt that, but as far as the multiplayer goes, it's at least kind of what Black Ops 3 was last year, just not as good. So there you guys have it. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, drop it a like and share it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, MySpace, whatever you might use for social media, and I do really appreciate you taking the time to watch. If you happen to be new to the channel, I do upload new stuff like 3 or 4 days a week, depending on the week, so there's always something new right here on the channel when you drop by to watch some videos. But as for right now, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching this particular video. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.